And when they actually returned to St. Louis in 1806, they were all hailed as straight up heroes. I mean, everybody was so impressed. They wanted to hear their stories. They wanted to figure out what it was that they had learned, and the maps and the pictures and everything like that. They were like, show me, show me. And so this was great, right? You would think. This is kind of where their paths diverge and things go. Well, I'll just tell you, Lewis, he was appointed as the governor of Louisiana Territory. And then Clark would rise to some very prominent positions in Western affairs. And then Sacagawea, she returned to obscurity. Now, after the expedition, Lewis was not doing so well. He was struggling pretty hard. He was really prone to depression. He had a little bit of an issue with alcohol, and he was in some pretty severe debt. And in 1809, at a very lonely inn on the Natchez Trace, he actually passed away from gunshot wounds. And history, of course, records this as self-inflicted, and some still question that verdict, but it does seem that way. And he was only 35 years old. So that is really, really hard and upsetting. Now, Clark, he actually lived quite a bit longer. He became the governor of Missouri Territory. So they were very politically driven men. And then the interesting thing, and I'm going to use some language that I would not personally choose to use, but this is the actual title that he was under at the time. You have to remember, it's early 1800s. He became the Superintendent of Indian Affairs, which was an extreme paradox, and it made no sense because this was a man who had relied deeply on indigenous knowledge and survived because of indigenous knowledge, and was very, very close with a truly remarkable and impressive woman who did happen to be of Shoshone descent. And then he comes to this position where he's administering policies that displace indigenous nations. It didn't make any sense. It kind of made me wonder if he had any bit of a soul. I will tell you, though, that he ended up passing in 1838 at 68 years old, and it's listed that he passed from natural causes. He had endured kind of a brief illness, and he ended up passing away at his son's house, and his son's name was actually Meriwether Lewis Clark, which is a good signal to his good buddy. Now, Sacagawea, she is a little bit more of a mystery. There were not as many records kept, and she lived a very quiet life after they got back home. Now, some records say that she passed away in 1812. Now, this would put her at the age of 25, and it is said that she fell ill with a putrid fever after giving birth to her daughter, Lizette. Now, others say that she actually lived for decades after, possibly even until 1884. They say that she returned west and she reunited with her people, probably her chief brother. But history just leaves that one completely open-ended, which drives me nuts. So she could have been a very old woman when she passed, or she could have been quite young, and no one really, really knows. She had done something so incredibly remarkable, and I don't know if she ever realized how important or how long she would be remembered and how impressive she actually was. I think potentially, that could have just been, she just knew it. It was like second nature. That's just what she did. And then she just returned to her normal life. I don't know if she understood what it meant for America, or what it meant for the people that she was with personally, or that she was going to be one of the most famous women of the early 1800s. I mean, really, she was very impressive. And I do like to point out that Lewis and Clark, they mapped out all the rivers, they mapped out trails, passes, all of it. Sacagawea, she mapped out their survival. They are remembered with statues, and she's remembered in names, but memory is really not the same as understanding. This expedition was not a lone triumph of American will. It was this braided story of dependence, of trust, of knowledge borrowed and rarely repaid. And again, we don't know what happened to her after this. We don't know if she had any type of relationship with any of the people in her party, or if she was properly compensated or thanked or appreciated in her lifetime, but good God, she deserves some attention today, if you ask me. She was a very impressive woman, and I love learning about her. I honestly think about it too. I'm like, it would have been cool if she would have done any of that, but the fact that she also did it with like a kid strapped to her back is insane. That's crazy. Like, the first couple months that people have kids, I feel like they're usually, like, locked in their home, and you're like, "Hey, you wanna go grab dinner?" And they're just MIA. But she said, "Here, let me just strap this human life that I just created on my back, and I will show you how to get to the Pacific and back."